Hi, I'm Angie Wisdom, and welcome to my podcast, Sharing Wisdom. I'm an author and a keynote speaker and a master certified coach. And for the past 25 years, I've sat across the table from fascinating people, helping them break through their obstacles to achieve success in their life and business. The one thing I've learned and believe to this day is that you are capable of change, capable of greatness, capable of anything you're willing to get serious about. And I want to help you get there. That's why I'm sharing all my wisdom and interviewing some of the most successful business leaders and athletes in the world so they can share their wisdom too. So get present and ready to learn. Welcome to Sharing Wisdom. Well, I am so excited about who's on the podcast today. Jen Gottlieb, she is the co-founder of Superconductor Media, and she is also a best-selling author of Be Seen. She's an entrepreneur. She's absolutely amazing. And you know what I love most about her? She's kind of sneaky. Jen, welcome to the podcast.
Ooh, I want to know why you think I'm sneaky, but I'm so excited to be here. Tell me why.
Yes, I wanted to put that out there because I finally heard this message that you shared. And I've always looked to you as like, okay, she's about being seen and being out there and eyes on you and on the stage and in the spotlight. But really, I heard this message from you. And as I read your book, you mentioned something about like, you know what, it's really just a front for personal development and helping people bring out this authenticity and this confidence that they all have.
Yeah. So we joke when we started our company, it was a media company. We built Superconductor Media to connect entrepreneurs to the media. And we always said, we're a media company, but we're really a personal development company disguised as a media company. And we still say that to this day. Mm-hmm. You know, we tell them what they want, which is we teach people how to build their brands. We teach people how to get out there, but we really give them what they need because you can't, or at least from my experience, I know that I could never put myself out there. Be myself on camera or building a brand or writing as myself if I didn't have the mindset or the confidence to do it or the belief in myself that I could or the community around me. It all starts with the space between your ears. So that's where we're sneaky. I guess you're right.
Yeah, no, it really is, because I think to most people, when they look on the outside at what you're doing, it's like, it's very attractive and it's like, oh my gosh, I want to be seen. I want to be seen. But they want their brand to be built, but they don't realize that, it's that inside work. And to me, I think that sometimes people shy away from that. It's the harder work, right? We can do checks, check the box and do these task-oriented things, but the work, like you said, in between the ears and on ourselves is that harder work. So I love how you kind of bring them into it. And then you're like, here's what we're really going to work on.
Absolutely. I say, you'll see when I speak at your event, one of the first things I say is I teach people how to be seen. I'm not going to stand up here and teach you strategy. You don't need it. You don't need to know how to post, what to write, what to say. That's if you're not being seen and you're not putting yourself out there and you desire that and you want that and you understand that attention is going to be the most important thing when it comes to building your business. If you're not doing it, it's not because you don't know how. It's just not. We can figure out anything on the internet now. With AI, we can figure out anything. It is because of the 4-letter F word. The 4-letter F word, which is fear.
Yeah.
If you don't have the tools.
So true. Yeah. And you talk about that.
Exactly. All the time. I mean, it all stems from that. And it's not about being fearless either. It's not about like getting rid of fear completely, because we're always going to feel fear. I feel fear all the time, every day. Mm-hmm. Like whenever I stretch myself or go and be seen or speak in front of an audience, I feel a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of fear. But you get better at moving through fear. Power that fear has over you every time you do the thing that you're afraid to do. So you need to have the tools to be able to take action with fear there anyway.
100%. And don't you agree too that like if people do the work on themselves, if they get their head in the right space and do that inner work, what you want to say and how you want to show up starts to just come naturally to you?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I always joke with myself. I'm like, when I wrote my book, I'm not a writer. I never actually said or to myself ever in a million years that I would write a book, that I'm an author, that I know how to write, that I'm a prolific writer and I'm amazing at literature and all these things. Not at all. I'm a talker. I'm a speaker. I can communicate speak, and that's what comes easy to me. That's when I feel in flow. And if you're an expert and you're listening to this right now, an expert in anything that you do, usually when you're talking about the thing that you love to talk about and you're providing value to somebody and you're helping somebody, don't forget the words. You don't get scared, really. You're not like shy. You're not like insecure. Oh, what am I going to say? You don't freeze up. You just share and you just provide value, and you're just. It's when we start to really hyper focus on, oh my God, what are they thinking about me right now? Are the words that I'm saying good? That we start to get nervous and scared. So the acronym that I always use every day when I'm being seen or creating content or writing my book is HOPE, HOPE. It stands for help one person every day. So if you can just envision that you're talking to someone and providing value to that person. So when I wrote my book, I literally put the girl that I was writing the book for in front of me. Every time I sat down to write, I was like, she's sitting here. Her name's Kayla. She's a Pilates instructor from Wisconsin. She wants to get out of the gym and start building her own business, but she's petrified to start creating content. And I'm at lunch with her and we're talking and we're having a conversation. Yeah. And that really helped to remove a lot of my anxieties and my writer's block, because we don't ever get talker's block.
Right. So true. Yeah, that's not a thing. I've never heard of that before, right?
No. So when we're just focused on pouring into somebody and providing value and having a conversation, we usually don't get as nervous and scared, and we don't hold ourselves back as much. And it usually is the most authentic or real version of ourselves when we can tap into that.
So good. And you talk about this being in the pocket, which I love, because you talk about being in this flow and being your most authentic self. So share a little bit around that for people, because I think it's so important for people to get in this place where they do feel, they don't have that writer's block and they can talk to that one person and they truly feel like they're in their flow.
Yeah. Flow is an awesome thing to find. It doesn't come around all the time, but the more you practice getting into that state, the more it's there for you when you need it, and the easier that it is to grab onto it. So it really does take practice, just like going to the gym and working out, getting into the in the pocket state or flow state, what a lot of people call it. Whenever I want to get in the pocket, I think about the moments in my life where I was in the pocket. And these could be moments from your childhood. They could be moments from your college years. They could be moments from yesterday, last week. But think about those moments in time when you were doing something and it felt like time just stopped. It felt like, oh, I could do this for hours and hours and hours. I don't even know what time it is. It doesn't even matter. It is not exhausting to me. It feels effortless. It feels fun. I could do this all day. I freaking love it. And then you're done. And it's like, where did the day go? Those are the moments when you're the most in the pocket. All have them. And they sometimes happen by surprise. Like, oh, I didn't even know I loved that so much. And that's a clue to tell you, maybe you should lean into doing something that puts you into that state. Maybe it's not that exact thing, but maybe that's one thing that could lead you to something else. Like for me, I know I'm the most in the pocket when I'm on stage, but being an actor in the traditional sense didn't work out for me for so many reasons. But now I'm on stage for a living all the time doing something completely different. So I am then using my in the pocket moments in a different way. And if we can tap into that feeling that we have when we're in the pocket and bring it into other things that we do, we're going to be a lot more confident. And if we can lean into doing things that make us feel that way, we're going to have a lot more fulfilled life. And we're going to find that thing that feels more like, oh, that's my authentic purpose, whatever that even means for you. But people have all kinds of words for it. That's the thing I'm supposed to do.
Love that. And it's like, it really does. I mean, I know that state you're talking about. And when you get into it, it's like, you don't even worry about anything else. And, you're just in that zone. And I think it's when you make the biggest impact and you get that return, you get the results that you truly are trying to create because you're just in it. So good. One of the things I really am curious about for you is you talked before about, being in different places where you VH1, right? And being in this heavy metal like rock show and going, this was so not me. And I feel like people really find themselves in places where they're like, what am I doing here? This is not me. What's that turning point where you kind of snap out of it and you get yourself out of that place that isn't you and headed in that right direction?
Well, I wish that I could have snapped out of it and got myself out of that situation. I didn't. I was kicked out of that situation by the powers that be. I believe first. I believe God stepped in and got me out of that situation because I couldn't get I was too afraid. I was absolutely too petrified. And if I had a choice, I would have stayed in that painful place because I was so afraid of what was on the other side. I wasn't in that doing that anymore. So for me, I often say that when you're out of alignment and you can't get yourself back in, the universe will step in and do it for you. And a lot of the times when that happens, it hurts. And that's just that's from my experience, that's what's always had to happen. And sometimes shit happens so the shift can happen. And that's exactly what happened during that time. I was completely living a lie and stuck in this version of myself that I had created to survive, to have a job, to feel important, to make money, all of the things. And I was like, if I'm not this, then what am I? And it went away. The show got canceled, and this relationship that I was in, that I thought I was supposed to be in because it looked great on paper, ended, and I got dumped and fired, and I ended up having to start over, not by my choice, but by the choice of the universe. And now that I look back, I mean, in that moment, I was like, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Oh my God, my life is over, right? And I didn't know and understand why the hell that happened to me. But now that I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, now I know why. Thank God that happened. And usually that's what happens with all terrible things. There are still some terrible things that have happened that I'm looking back and I'm like, I still don't know why yet. And that's okay. And sometimes those things take a really long time for the story to really evolve and to get to finally like realize. But with this one, it's like, oh, duh.
Yeah.
Thank God. Thank God I had that whole chapter. I love contrast, because if it wasn't for moments like that, I wouldn't know moments that feel really amazing and in alignment.
Yeah, amen to that. What fascinates me about you, and why I really wanted you to come to the event initially, was because you embrace this authenticity so much. You know, there are people out there who are so afraid to be themselves, to allow people to see who they truly are. And you put out so much information and clips where you're like, oh, they said I was too provocative. They said I was this. They said I was this. But you kept on your path. Like, you were relentless about, I am who I am, and I'm not going to deviate from that. Like, where does someone get that strength from to just move ahead exactly as they are?
I mean, it did not, that strength was not there, wasn't created overnight. And I don't always have it. I'm gonna be totally honest. Like, it's not easy all the time to always like be myself and to go on Facebook or Instagram live every single day with no makeup on and put my makeup on in front of everybody. It's confidence is built over time. That strength is built over time. It's a muscle. It's not built like overnight with one thing where I was like, no, I'm strong and I'm always going to be strong. I'm consistently doing things to build that resiliency so that it's there all the time. And that means, like, I talk about, like, every day I'm doing my 3 Ps. My 3 Ps are every single day I want to progress, because progression is that's bliss. Like, as long as I'm progressing and I'm moving towards, I have a goal, even if it's the teeniest, tiniest little goal ever, like, okay, just finish this Instagram live right now. Boom. Like, and I check that off the list at night. Then I'm feeling good about myself, because human beings, we're meant to grow. We're meant to progress. So that's my first one. And then my next one is persevere. I want to do hard things every single day. Like, I want to persevere through something, whether that's my workout, putting myself in an ice bath. And sometimes the persevering happens not under my control. And then because I have so much practice persevering, it's easier, and you create that strength over time. And then the third P is to pay it forward. And every day I'm just focusing on, can I help one person today? And if I can do those 3 things every day, it gives me that, I guess you called it strength. That's there constantly, because it's just habitual, but it's working really hard to make my life easy. It's putting that discipline in place so that I have freedom to put myself out there when I'm scared. It doesn't get less scary. I just get a lot better at getting scared, you know?
Yeah. I love that. You just get better at being scared. Yeah. What about, though, what other people think? And I know you talk about this in your book. So does that still pop up for you, as far as, you know, everyone gets hung up on that? You know, I'm just worried about what other people think. What are they going to say?
Totally. Yeah. 100%. I think that's a normal
happens.
It's a normal thing that we all think about. I have this conversation openly with so many people because I'm genuinely curious to meet somebody that really genuinely does not care. And I think if you really care about what anybody thinks of you, there's mental illness going on right there in some way, shape, or form, because I think that everybody to some extent cares. That's why we're kind. Like, we care what other people It just is. But it can go down a darker path when you're sitting there comparing yourself to everybody on the internet, or you're not sharing your truth because you're fearing judgment, or you're fearing rejection. And that's also normal. And so, yes, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? Or I'm speaking at this event. Are they going to like me? I just got asked to speak at this one event where there's like 10-figure business owners in the room. And I'm like, am I really good enough to like go and speak in front of these people? Like, I have to like bring a whole nother side of me. Oh my God, like this is scary, right? There's all of these new levels that you get to in your life where you feel like, oh, what are they going to think of me? And then I always just go back to, man, what will I feel like if I didn't go for it because I was so scared of what they will think? And then I remember that no one's really judging you. They're not. They're thinking about themselves. If you activate somebody because of something, it's usually because of something that they're dealing with within themselves. They're not. My 14-year-old stepdaughter said that to me. She goes, Jen, no one's really caring about you. They're caring about themselves. And to stop yourself from doing the thing that you really want to do because of what other people thought would be just the worst thing in the world. If I woke up on my deathbed and I was like, I didn't. I was afraid of what other people would think and that they would reject me. So I've learned to make friends with rejection.
Yeah.
If they don't like me, bring it. Then they're not my people. And if I can make friends with rejection and I can welcome it, then everything feels easier. It's like, what's my relationship with rejection? What's my relationship with people judging me? And if I can have a different perspective about it, then I can go into it with a little bit more courage than not. But the feelings are always there.
That is so interesting. Like everything you're saying to me, I'm like, wow, you've taken all these things that normally are like negative to people, like worrying about what other people think, being scared. And it's like, you've made them all your best buddies. Like you've made friends with them. I've gotten good at being scared. Like it's just such a different approach and refreshing, because I think people often feel like, oh, someone like you has got it all together and it never falls apart and you never have these thoughts. So I love these tips that you're giving everybody. They're super good.
Thank you. Yeah. I think it's really very important to have these conversations. Like everyone looks like they got their shit together on the internet, but we're all humans and we all go through this. I talk to a lot of really, really successful people all the time.
True.
They all go through this same stuff. We all do. And I'm waiting to meet somebody that doesn't, and I have not yet. At a sit down, real conversation, it's like, yes, everybody's dealing with it. And it's not about not dealing with it. It's not about getting rid of it. It's about having the tools to move through it courageously and practicing and like really flexing those muscles. And every single time we move through the hard thing, we get a little bit better at moving through hard things.
So true. I know you are on a time crunch here, and I'm so happy that you gave us some time and came on the podcast. But one last thing I want to ask you about, because people are listening and are thinking about coming to this event. And I want you to speak a little bit about the fact that everybody has a brand, and I know you talk about this, like some people go, well, I don't really have a business, so I don't have a brand and I don't need to be seen, but it's so far from the truth. And you do such a good job of explaining. So please shed a little light on that for me.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you don't have to have a personal brand if you don't want to have a personal brand. If you just, there's nothing you have to do. Like there's no right or wrong way to do anything. However, if you have a business, you have to have some sort of visibility online, whether you're the brand or somebody else is the brand. You need to have attention. You need to be able, if no one can find you, no one's going to buy your stuff. If you have a service, a story, or a product, and you're not self-visible to people where their attention is, which is usually on the internet right now, but wherever their attention may be, then they can't be helped by you. So they're going to go hire someone else, or they're going to go learn from someone else, or pay someone else that's maybe doesn't care as much as you and maybe isn't as good as you because you're not being seen. So building a brand, like let's say, okay, you have a business and you want to build a personal brand. It is a recommendation from me. I no longer say it's a necessity, but I would say it's a very, very big recommendation. And here's why. Your personal brand is you. So I get to talk to a lot of people that are very successful, meaning they build million, sometimes $billion businesses, and then they exit them. And this is for like the higher level person that's listening to this right now, because everyone's like, well, I don't want to tie my brand to my business, because then what if I don't have the business anymore? So I've met people that have built businesses and they didn't build a personal brand alongside that business they sold, or maybe that business goes away, or they decide that they don't want to do that business anymore and they want to start something new and they have no brand. Nobody knows who they are. So it's very, very hard to build an audience for that new business or whatever you're doing next if you didn't take the time to build the brand along the way and you didn't take the time to document the journey. Now, the other people that I know that built a brand, documented what they were doing, showcased it online, introduced themselves to the world, and have that. It's collateral, like it's an investment. It's you have ownership in something, your personal brand. If you decide to pivot and do something else, you have a built-in audience that will follow you and they love you for you. So there you go. You're not like throwing spaghetti at the wall and like shouting at deaf ears. Like everyone's listening to you already. And they're like, great, I love you. I've been following you forever. I've been learning from you. I'm going to go along the journey. Your brand is an investment in yourself. And now I'm seeing moms make brands for their kids in hockey and soccer and cheerleading, because now I'm seeing that like even colleges are looking at kids' Instagram followers when they're thinking about applying for schools. This is crazy. And even actors and actresses, it doesn't matter really how good in the audition anymore. It's how many followers do you have? How much engagement do you have? What's your Instagram following like? It definitely is an investment in you and whatever you choose to do in your life. So maybe it doesn't make sense for you now, but I bet at one point in time in your life, it would make sense for you to have a brand or some kind of visibility online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so good. And even if it's not like you need this brand right now, what you teach about what you have to pull out that brand is for everybody. So that's why we're so excited to have you in Orange County on March 9th at Get Intentional. I'm excited for what you're going to share with the group. And I know everyone's excited to see you and meet you. So we look forward to it.
I'm so excited. I absolutely can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. I hope to see everybody there.
It is. And I didn't know this when I kind of selected the speakers, but I think you are literally friends, and you just spoke with Ben Newman recently, and you're great friends with Randy. So it feels like a big family event now. It's going to be amazing.
It's so fun. It is. I cannot wait.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming in, Jen, and sharing with us today.
Oh my gosh. It was my pleasure. So fun.
Thanks for tuning into another episode of Sharing Wisdom. If you want to be seen, if you know someone who needs to break through their authentic self and be seen, build that brand, then share this episode with Jen Gottlieb. And if you want to meet her in person, even have dinner or lunch with her, come to Get Intentional on March 9th in the OC. In the show notes, I'll put a link there. And hey, if you like this episode, give us a comment, a like, and share along. Have a great day.